Of all the negative plays in football, sack, pick, whatever this is.
Wow. I have never seen this before in my life.
There's one that offensive people find particularly offensive: the batted ball.
Pass batted down at the line of scrimmage, deflected and incomplete.
That has to be so frustrating for a quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that sucks. It does, because that could have been a big play.
Golden was open, and I threw it, and he freaking batted it.
Like, they'll just be sitting there at the line, and as soon as you cock back, they're in the air, swan the ball down.
That's demoralizing as it gets. 2 back-to-back, batted down at the line. Oh, just stabbed my heart.
I will say there's nothing more defeating as an offensive lineman, because you didn't get there, so I did my job, but you also affected the play. It's very disappointing.
It's a last-ditch effort for the defensive lineman. If you can't get there, make like a grizzly bear. Paws up.
It's definitely something that we teach. Quarterbacks are getting rid of the ball so quick now, because of spread offenses in the quick passing game. You're not going to get there. So get your hands up and use your length to knock balls down. And a lot of times, balls are not knocked down, they're tipped.
Good shot.
And that turns into turnovers.
Russell Wilson, ball's batted in the air! Intercepted! Yes! Touchdown, Anthony Harris!
Yeah, it's probably one of the most annoying things ever. But I think there's certain guys that just have a great feel.
That's what Calais Campbell can do. He can ruin a game plan.
Calais is really good. He's tall, obviously. Cam Jordan.
This one's batted down by Jordan.
Cam Jordan just gets his big call up, as he's done so well.
Carlos Dunlap, who's like 6'12".
Carlos Dunlap
He's one of the leaders in the league with those passes defended. He's done a great job knocking those balls down.
And then obviously watching J.J. Watt, to me, he revolutionized batting balls down.
Batted down, the SWAT team at it again.
Don't even attempt to throw his way. I think he makes that big of an impact.
How many tips today? Has one. So far.
The gift of SWAT turned Watt into a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year.
All I know is, you mess with me, you got problems.
But it's a skill that often goes underappreciated.
When you get to the sideline, the DB that was targeted on that play is, man, I was going to pick that.
He threw that to me. I was going to pick that.
You hear that? You hear that more than anything else. Man, hey, if you wouldn't have touched that, that was going to be a pick.
Hey, whoever batted that was a pick 6 y'all batted down. I don't drop those.
I used to really pride myself on batting balls, but then I decided that it wasn't as sexy as getting sacked. They don't give you enough credit for it. They don't.
It's true. The batted ball wasn't even an official statistic until 2019.
I almost caught it. It hit both my hands.
Before that, it was recorded as a PBU, or pass breakup, the same as a downfield deflection by a defensive back. And the NFL didn't start keeping track of those for defensive linemen until 1994. And that's thanks in large part to this man, the original Batmaster, Ed Too Tall Jones.
There's no one more valued in sport than the good big man. Someone big enough to blot out the sun or cloud a quarterback's vision.
Ed was 6'9", and when a quarterback would roll to his side, Ed would raise his arms, distract his timing to keep him from throwing the ball effectively. Ed made so many big plays knocking balls down and changing the quarterback's timing that if they would keep track of that like they did quarterback sacks, Ed would be in the Hall of Fame.
That's the reason they call him too tall. He's too tall to throw over.
I was told I'm the only player in history with over 100 batted passes and 100 sacks.
Was blocking a pass as satisfying as a sack?
Yes, and the reason being was because with a lot of those blocked passes, there were interceptions. I'll never forget in the 80s, playing at just Phil Simms, I blocked 2 passes. One of them, Jim Jeffcoat picked off for a touchdown that won the NFC East for us.
Tipped and intercepted by Jeffcoat, and Jim Jeffcoat is going to run this back the length of the field for a touchdown. How do you do?
See, even though quarterbacks sometimes try and change a few things up, they have the same tendencies. I'd studied Phil, and Phil liked to throw to the tight end Bavaro. That's who he was trying to hit.
And for the 58th time in the last 6 years, Ed Too Tall Jones has knocked down a pass.
You got to study that quarterback. If you learn when he's throwing to that tight end or dumping to running backs and all that, you can block a lot of passes.
An opposing coach said, the only way to stop Too Tall is with a gun.
Murder seems a little extreme, but there are ways to combat would-be ball swatters like Too Tall.
Growing up, playing offensive line, our coach used to say, hey, if someone jumps up, punch them, in the you-know-what.
You want to jump up and put your hands in there, you're going to eat a couple fists into the rib cage or the stomach or somewhere like that to make him decide the next time whether he wants to jump up and bat a ball.
I like this by Wagner, right? That's what you're taught to do. Jump up in the air, go hit him in the chest, bam, but damage already done for Kiko Alonso.
You have to practice it. You have to do things like, have guys hold tennis rackets and really teach the quarterback to kind of see through the forest and throw it.
These inflatable balloon men are impressive, though not nearly as intimidating as the Chiefs' real-life balloon man, Chris Jones.
Let's go!
Chris is long, and he actually has great ball skills. You don't talk about much of that from the defensive line standpoint, but he is a phenomenal athlete.
You batted that ball down? Oh, yeah. I'll in your face all day.
Jones is ranked in the top 5 in batted balls 3 years in a row, doing much of his damage in the playoffs.
He's got another pass batted down. Chris Jones again with 2 snow shovels, 1 in each hand.
What? How many tip ball you got today? About 4 or 5,
He even gave Pat Mahomes a run for MVP in Super Bowl 54.
Pass is tipped and almost intercepted. Chris Jones, his second pass broken up.
You're an awesome player, dude. That tipped was the difference, man. Good job.
This past offseason, Jones was made the highest paid defender in Chiefs history.
I love y'all.
So perhaps times are changing. Teams are finally waking up to the true value of the batted ball.
Hey, you never know. Good things happen when you get your hand up. Next thing you know, you made a big play. You didn't really mean for it to happen.
At the very least, it sure is a great way to get under a quarterback's skin.
I hate batted balls. I think they ought to be legal and truly ought to be banned from the NFL. That's just my honest personal opinion.